Well, everyone, I wanted to go ahead and kind of show you all exactly how the iPhone 6s Plus holds up in the later part of 2023. Now, the first thing I'm definitely going to tell you is this particular phone, I still think is, an okay phone for a very, very budget device, but I would not recommend buying this phone anymore. And the main reason for this, much like the same reason I wouldn't recommend buying the 7 Plus or the 8 Plus, is because these phones are no longer getting software support. So even though these devices may still have some value, they probably wouldn't be worth buying anymore for the average person out there. There's maybe some like use cases like right outside those bubbles, but for the most part, I would not recommend buying these devices anymore. But on the outside of the 6S Plus, the cool thing is physically it still, still feels pretty expensive. You're getting a 5.5-inch IPS panel on the front, which is actually like still a pretty good size display. This thing used to be a massive phone, but it's funny because nowadays this is like kind of like a smaller size display, at least with the way, we kind of used to kind of think about it in terms of like the inches and the size. You have the top bottom bezel, you have the home button too, which is nice. You have the lightning port, you have the home button, like I said before, you have the headphone jack, which is nice. On the back side, you have that standard aluminum back, which still looks and feels pretty good. Single camera setup on the top left corner. Overall, like it still looks like a pretty decent phone, but it is kind of outdated when it comes down to it. And even from a body standpoint like that, I mean, you can definitely tell it does not look like that good of a phone anymore. Now, I still love the way this phone looked. I personally used this device back in like 2016 to 2017, and I had a pretty good time with it. The big thing though is probably with that software. This thing is still kind of getting software support on iOS 15, but it's pretty much outdated, and I wouldn't really recommend any single person to pretty much think about buying this phone. I mean, this thing, if you're buying it, you're going to already feel like you have an outdated device, and I would hate to recommend a device to people where they're like, okay, it's like already outdated. That's kind of what's going on with this particular phone, and that's kind of what happens when you're getting phones that are, this old. This phone came out in 2015, over 8 years ago. It just doesn't make too much sense to buy a phone like this and use it anymore if I'm being completely honest. Performance-wise though, like still, turns on. It still like can play applications and play games and things like that. I think the most heaviest thing I did with this is probably play like Genshin Impact on like fairly high settings. And even then, like it's just not, I mean, it's it's good for how old this phone is, but it's not a good performing phone at all. It gets very glitchy very fast. And the biggest problem I've had with these particular phones is really with, the storage issues. There are so many random storage issues I've had with these types of devices, and I still don't even know what's going on. Like if you buy a 32 gigabyte phone in 2023, it just makes zero sense. Now that we're going into 2024, it makes even less sense to buy a phone of this caliber because you're already going to be getting what maxed out at 128 gigabytes. Phones nowadays start at that specific storage variant. So that's like another big thing going on with this particular phone. So when you kind of combine the performance, the software, or lack of software updates, the storage issues, like it's just not really that good of a phone anymore, and I just really wouldn't recommend any single person to buy it. I would recommend buying like an iPhone XR at the bare minimum, but beyond that, that's pretty much how I see this phone kind of holding up in the later part of 2023. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.